Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Trish O'Shaughnessy, and I am the Postgraduate Programme Manager here in Cork University Business School in UCC. I'd first like to welcome all the participants of this webinar. You are very welcome today, and we are looking at a topic that's quite pertinent to a lot of businesses who have closed due to COVID-19. So today we're looking at how to create digital spaces that people actually need and want. So just to give you a brief running order of the webinar today, I'm shortly going to introduce you to the Programme Directors of the MSc in Design and Development of Digital Business. So the Programme Directors are Dr. Andrew Pope and Dr. Carolanne Mahony. Andrew and Carolanne are going to give you a presentation, roughly maybe 20 minutes to half an hour. After that, I'm going to speak briefly on the application process. So if you've applied for a programme here in UCC or you want to apply for their programme, I'm going to talk around that. Of course, at any time during the presentation, if you want to ask questions, you're more than welcome to do so, and we will answer them at the very end of the presentation. Or if there's a lot of questions, we will put them up in the comments in the YouTube video. So just to kick off the webinar, I'd like to introduce the Programme Directors and our presenters today, Dr. Andrew Pope and Dr. Carolanne Mahony, the Programme Directors of the MSc in Design and Development of Digital Business. So Andrew and Carolanne, you're very welcome, and if you'd like to start your presentation.
Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
So good afternoon, everybody. I'm Andrew and I'm one of the co-directors of the programme. So the MSc Design and Development of Digital Business is a 12-month taught master's program. So we're going to talk a little bit about digital business and why it's important. And of course, with the current COVID-19 pandemic, it's more important than ever that people understand both digital and business. So we're going to set the scene a little bit and give you some context for why digital is important and also how to come up with innovative digital solutions. So I'm going to start off and I'm going to talk a little bit about digital strategy. So some of you may have seen something similar to this in the past. So in most organizations, you have somebody who is responsible for the organization's digital strategy. And it's typically somebody like the chief executive officer, the chief technology officer, or maybe even the head of digital transformation. But of course, the advent of COVID-19 has meant that people quickly have to transform into a digital space, in many instances without any planning whatsoever. So certainly COVID has changed the way we do business, the way we interact with each other, both socially and professionally. So there's huge impact both on individuals and organizations and even countries as well. So I want to talk a little bit about that. So one of the things that we talk a lot about in the course is this idea of touch points. So if you think of a business and a customer, every time the business and the customer interact with each other, you have what is known as a touch point. So as you can imagine in the kind of the COVID world, this ability to touch or engage with the organization is in many ways hampered. But typically, every time the organization interacts with the customer, you have this touch point. And sometimes these touch points are physical. So it could be an object, it could be a place. So, you know, if you wanted to buy a coffee, for instance, you'd walk into the coffee shop, you'd interact with the barista or the person behind the till, you'd exchange an object. But touch points aren't always physical, and sometimes they have to be digital. And certainly that is the case in the COVID era. So we have digital touch points as well. And the digital touch points could be things like social networking, your mobile device, a website, a web application, or even a kind of, an online help support staff member. So you have these physical and digital touch points that allow customers or people to engage with organizations. Now, we're also seeing new types of touch points as well. So we have things like smart speakers. So think of things like Alexa and Siri and things like that. You have virtual reality headsets. You have automated bots. So every single touch point between the organization and the customer is an opportunity to innovate. It's an opportunity to improve the customer experience. And one of the things we talk a lot about on the course is not just about touch points, whether they be physical or digital, but also this notion of the customer experience. So we talk about things like customer journeys. So if you engage with an organization, it's rarely a single moment in time. Typically, these engagements happen over time. And throughout that journey, this customer journey, you'll interact with many different touch points, whether they be physical or whether they be digital. And each one of those touch points can make the customer happy, but also frustrate the customer as well. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to design products and services that engage the customer, that make them happy. So we look at touch points, we look at customer journeys, and we look really at how digital can improve the customer experience. Because of course, it's not just about digital. So digital is really important, but we also have to think about the customer experience as well. So Carolanne is going to talk a little bit about some companies who are doing innovative things at the moment. So they're dealing with the pandemic, they're dealing with the problems that customers face and coming up with innovative solutions.
Okay, hi everybody. So I'm Dr. Carolanne Mahony. I'm the other director for the programme. And as Andrew said, I'm going to be talking about examples of some of the companies that have, I suppose, worked well under these circumstances. And you'll see some of these logos you might be familiar with, some of them you might not. So for example, here we've got the Bank of Ireland, which you might be aware as a bank in Ireland, their normal customer journey, you could go into the bank usually and get money, or you could do some of your banking online using their banking app on your phone, or you could use their online using your computer. But what they have looked at is the idea with some people being cocooned, not being able to get out. They have these sections of their customer base that can't access money easily and therefore can't buy products. So they have put in place a service that allows those customers to nominate somebody easily that can then go and access money on their behalf, and then they will be able to buy products using the money that they have accessed. So again, it's looking at changing around the service to enable your customer base to become less frustrated and happier. FaceCake is an interesting one. So they are an augmented reality company. So basically what they would have been doing really initially was selfies. So similar to the idea of Snapchat filters and things like that. So you take your picture and it augments it. But they've really taken off lately with companies not being able to have the in-store experience. So they've partnered with jewelers, with MAC Cosmetics, and with a number of other cosmetics companies. So really where customers can now try on products by augmenting their selfies. And this is trying to mimic this in-store experience. Now, something like this would have been available before, but it never really took off. Whereas now this company has got partnerships in over 40 countries, and it's really taking off. Just one more example that I'm going to use there is Bumble. So that is, if you're not familiar with the logo, that's the one that looks like the hive there. So they're an online dating app. You install it on your phone. So they have different tools on inbuilt now where you can have video conferencing in the app. Now that would have been again in there for a while, but they're really trying to lean heavily on the fact that that's available. They are putting little guides onto their website about how to do social distancing as part of dating. They've added a little digital badge onto people's profiles if they want to say that you're happy to do that kind of dating. But what they're also doing is if you put that digital badge onto your profile, they'll donate money to COVID-19 charities. Okay, so it's really the idea of leaning into what environment is around and how you can build that into innovation. Okay, sorry, I'll just talk about one more there. Deliveroo. So Deliveroo being a delivery application, they've taken advantage of the situation by partnering with more companies, so in Ireland and in the UK, that they're now starting to deliver groceries as well. So the fact that people aren't able to go into shops as easily, they're using that to branch out. Okay, so just different kind of ideas. So this brings us into this idea of how can we do digital right? Okay, so we need this idea of we need it to be technically feasible. So for the face cake example, it was technically feasible for a while, but maybe people weren't that interested in the idea when they could go into the store and try on the makeup themselves or try on the earrings. But now it's a lot more desirable because of this current situation. We need business to make it viable. And then that's when we get this idea of innovation. So people talk about the idea of disruptive innovation, but they really they think about disruptive innovation being about the technology. The technology is often a small part of it. It is the technology plus everything around it. So plus the business model, plus the customers that you're aiming it towards. So you need all of these together. And that's really what we're trying to get our students to think about, is how we can get these technologies, we can design them towards the right business solution and towards the right customer. So that's what we're thinking about. Sorry, so just some examples of new challenges that have come about as well because of COVID-19. So for example, how can customers combat panic buying? So are there new innovative solutions that can, come about that would maybe calm people down so that they didn't feel the need to panic buy? Or is there better ways that supermarkets could manage their stock? So that's a question that has come up. The contract tracing apps, so there's a lot of those being developed, but there's questions that have been raised around the privacy and the security of people's data, the effectiveness of the applications themselves. So how do the developers of those applications balance those concerns? So how do we make sure that they're effective, but also make sure that we're protecting people's right to privacy and security? Okay, so how do we balance those? And then for companies that have always been built on loyalty based on this customer interaction, how do we maintain that? If we have to have social distancing, we have to use new digital tools. Is there a way that we can still have that loyalty, have that interaction? Is there new ways that we can build that customer relationship? Okay, so these are some examples of new business problems or new things that I suppose we try to get our students to think about as part of the course. And we try to give you the tools that you can use to ask those questions and come up with new and innovative solutions. So what Andrew's going to do now is to talk about solving problems through design. And this is one of the big things that we focus on as part of the course.
Thanks, Carolanne. So I suppose, one of the major things about the course is that we have this kind of foundation of design. We teach students using a design methodology. So design methodology, such as design thinking, is really a framework for solving problems. So what we try to do, and I'm going to get into the kind of the details of some of the modules in a minute, but one of the kind of foundation layers that cut across all of the modules is this mindset of creative problem solving. And it's something that we stress the importance of in the course. And we also know it's something that's very important to businesses as well. If you look in the last number of years, there's been a number of big acquisitions by the management and technology consultancy organizations where they're going in and they're acquiring design companies because they need those design skills. They need creative skills. And you often hear people talking about things like digital natives and digital literacy. Now more than ever, it's important to have digital innovators. And one of the ways of doing that is really understanding your customers, to understand the problem space, to understand what is needed and what the solution should entail. And one of the ways that we do that is we apply this methodology called design thinking. We apply it in a kind of a 4-stage process, which is exploration, creation, reflection, and implementation. So the first phase of the kind of design thinking process is exploration, where you do research. You try to understand your customers, you gather data. And then we place an emphasis on creation. So we want the students to be students who can actually build things, that can solve problems. And when we talk about creation, we're talking about building prototypes, creating, quick and dirty examples of applications that can be tested very, very quickly, as I mentioned already. So building prototypes, wireframing, sketching, and things like that. And then you have this reflection phase where you try to kind of reflect on what works and what doesn't work. So you gather data, you test your propositions, and you get feedback. And based on that feedback, you implement it into your final product, which is the final stage of our design thinking process, where you implement your new product or service. So it's really about understanding the problem, understanding the customer, and creating a solution that is both desirable, i.e. people want it, that is feasible, that it's possible to build it, but also that it's viable, that there is a business case associated with your product and service. And as I said, design thinking is this methodology that we apply throughout the 12 months of the course. Now, in addition to the kind of design thinking methodology as well, what we want to do is we want to create, kind of graduates that really have this understanding of business, technology, and design. So we have 14 modules which are delivered across 2 semesters, and we've broken them into 4 key areas. So the first key area is strategy. So we need to understand businesses and where businesses need to get to. We then have analysis, which is about going in and interacting with organizations and analyzing how those organizations work and how technology can be used to improve the organizational process. And then we have design, of course, which we've talked about a bit already. And then finally, we have this implementation, kind of these modules which deal with implementation. So it's how do you actually implement your solutions in real world organizations. So in semester 1, for example, we have a number of different modules which cut across those 4 key areas, which I mentioned a little bit earlier. So we teach our students interaction design and user experience design. We teach students how to use tools to gather data about the, about the user. We teach students how to sketch prototypes, how to build prototypes. We have database analysis and design, where students understand or learn about how data is stored and how it can be presented so that it's easier to access. We talk about electronic business models. So what is the impact of technology on businesses? We also do systems analysis and application modeling as well, where you learn about kind of industry standard tools for actually doing this kind of technology systems analysis. And we talked about kind of, digital business earlier as well. In the e-business practice module, we look at what other organizations are doing and how they're leveraging, how they're leveraging digital business to improve and add value to their organization. So typically we look at things like case studies. Now, in addition to that as well, we also introduce students to technology and programming. So this course is designed for students who have not done technology in the past. In fact, we have, students that come from many different disciplines. And really, when you're talking about design thinking and problem solving, multidisciplinarity is really important. So we really embrace the kind of the varied background of all of our students. So we introduce coding. In the first semester, we have programming for web applications. And in that module, students learn about things like HTML, JavaScript, CSS, which would be kind of standard web development languages. We also have an introduction to object-oriented programming, where students are introduced to the concepts of object-oriented programming, but also learn to code using the Java, development language. In semester 2, then we teach a module on service design, and I've touched a little bit on that at the start of this presentation. So how can we actually build services that people want to use? How can we improve customer journeys? How can we kind of make our customers happier? We also have a kind of electronic business strategy module. And when the students have done kind of web development in semester 1, in semester 2, they also look at additional web development using programming language PHP, and the students also learn to create mobile applications. And they learn to create mobile applications using the Java programming language once again, but creating applications for the Android platform. And then in the final semester, which is essentially this summer, from May right up until the end of August, students work on this applied research and development project. And Carolanne is going to talk to you guys about that now.
Okay, hi everyone. So this is our semester 3. So this is what the students do over the summer. And this is really based on this idea of the design thinking approach that Andrew was talking about earlier. So this idea of trying to get understanding of the user, then understanding the problem, getting the idea of building your wireframes, and then going towards actually prototyping, and maybe depending on what problem that we have for the project, you'll either end up with some kind of working prototype, or some of the problems where so basically where you're trying to learn as much as possible in each sprint, and basing your development on that. So it's very much a design project, and the key part of it is that you're working in a group based on real world problems. So during the year, companies come in and they present on real world problems that they're having, and these are the basis for the project that you are working on. So these are some of the design projects that were presented to the students. So we've had companies, we've had the HSC, we've had Cloudera, we've had Musgraves, Solaso, as you can see, Dell. We have community projects such as the Sherkin Island project. So that would be an example actually of a project where it was a fully developed project that was launched on the App Store at the end. So there was an app that was created by the project team for the community group down in Sherkin. Whereas some of the other projects that the students have created, for example, for Cloudera, they would be working prototypes that would be created based on a brief, and then the companies would use those to help them further develop, maybe integrate into their own systems down the line. So it depends on the brief that are given. Some of the briefs would be more design or business focused, and some of them will be more development focused. So it really is a great opportunity for the students to actually work on something that is actually a problem for a real company, and what we really appreciate is the variety of companies that come in to speak to the students, which is great from our point of view. So we can see here a selection of some of the companies that have come in. So we have from the likes of Microsoft to Bank of Ireland, Cloudera, Workvivo, IBM, Musgraves, AMX. So we have a variety of different industries, a variety of different size companies. So you can see the type of problems that students get exposed to really gives them a proper view of what the working environment is like and the type of design problems that companies actually have to deal with. It also gives the students an opportunity to make contacts in a variety of industries, which students have found quite valuable during the year. Other examples there, the Digit Game Studios, SOSV, so the real variety from a number of different industries, okay? Along with the people coming in to speak to the students, we also do workshops with some of the different companies. So we've had IBM have come in and they've done a full day session this year with the students on design thinking. So we were very lucky to have them to come in for us this year. We've had workshops on presentation and public speaking skills, on accessibility, on pitching. So it's all about different skills that we can impart to the students to help them in their, to help, I suppose, during the course, but also really from our point of view, when they go out into the real world and they can help them to get jobs and help them function well in those jobs. So we really try to think about the full picture and making sure that we can help get the soft skills as well as the actual development skills.
Yeah, and it's probably worth just kind of reiterating there as well in terms of the projects and the companies that come in. So, you know, the kind of applied research and development project, you're working with a real world problem, a real organization, and it's an opportunity to take all of the learning for all of those modules across both kind of semesters and apply it to solving something for an organization. So, you know, as Carolanne mentioned, we have lots of companies that come in throughout the year, and what they're doing is they're talking about their industry. They're talking about the kinds of problems that they're facing. And it gives the students ideas for their projects, exposes them to other sectors, and gives them opportunities to understand the kinds of jobs that are possible, you know, when they do a program such as the design and development of digital business. And I think it's fair to say that the kind of roles that our students end up doing are very varied, right? So, you know, all of our students work in the technology space, but there's huge kind of scope in terms of the opportunities that are available. We have students who are working in software development. We have students who are working in user experience design. We have people who are working in the kind of, you know, business consultancy space. We have people working as innovation coordinators, and we also have students over the past who've gone on to set up their own, you know, their own startups as well. So it really does open up doors. And because it's a 12-month program and because it's for students who haven't done technology in the past, what it's doing is it's leveraging your existing skills, but then giving you new opportunities to work in the tech sector. So, you know, there's a lot of really kind of, you know, valuable industry skills that are condensed into a relatively short period of time. So, you know, helping you understand the sector, you know, teaching you the skills and tools that are required to establish a good career in the sector, but also showing you, as I said, this kind of, you know, this design thinking methodology, which is becoming more and more important in organizations. because Carolanne referred to it earlier, and I also mentioned it. It's not just about technology. It's about using technology to solve real world problems. And that's really what the course is about. Students who can, recognize a problem and turn it into an opportunity, apply a design thinking methodology to come up with a solution. And I think that really kind of encapsulates what we do as a program.
Yes, exactly. You can see from the spread of graduate roles that it really covers the idea of technical roles, design roles, and the idea of more business analyst roles. So depending on the side of the course that the students, I suppose, find that they have more of an affinity for, there's great opportunities for the graduates, which has been, I suppose, great for us. But it's great to see that they're all doing really well in the areas that they've wanted to go into. And our graduates have also been really helpful for wanting to come in and speak to the class as well. So we've had past graduates come in and speak to the class, either to talk about the actual recruitment process and to how to go about interviews and give advice that way, and also to come in and talk about their current roles and what it's like in the company. So they've been really generous with their time as well, which is great that we get to maintain that relationship. Yeah, our summary slide.
So I suppose that's kind of an overview of, digital business, some of the issues that we're facing at the moment. And, it's probably worth reiterating that all of these things were important before COVID. It's only that the advent of COVID has exacerbated or changed the timelines for some of these things. Design, technology, business, and where those three kind of areas intertwine, that has always been important. And as I said, there's a lot of things that are happening at the moment that present huge challenges to people, but certainly the idea of digital and the importance of digital, but also understanding customers and people. That's something, which is important all the time, irrespective of what's happening at the moment. So that's a brief overview of the course, and we hope that you found it interesting. And I think we're going to take some questions now, if you have it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Carolanne and Andrew. So we had two questions. We might just take the first one. I know you talked a little bit about it already in your presentation, Andrew, but just to confirm, we had a question in whether you need to have studied any technological subjects, for example, any coding before applying.
Okay, so everything is taught from scratch, right? And in fact, we don't take students who have done a technology undergraduate degree. We look for students who haven't done technology undergraduate degree programs. So everything is taught from introductory level, whether it be, database design, coding for the web or mobile application development. So, the short answer is, no, everything is taught from scratch.
Perfect. And we also had two questions in just around whether there would be a delayed start date, whether it would be online, whether it would be blended learning. So I'm going to give my presentation now on how to apply for a program. So I'll incorporate that question and the answer there as part of my application or part of my presentation as well.
Thank you.
So just to answer that question about the delayed start date. So the start date has been delayed until the 28th of September. What the program is going to look like in September, whether it's going to be fully online, whether it's going to be fully in person, or whether it's going to be a blended program, which is a mixture of both of them, has yet to be decided. We'd hope to have a specific answer for you within the next couple of weeks. But at the moment, it has been confirmed that there will be a delayed start date of the 28th of September for all postgraduate taught programs. So I'm just going to give a brief presentation, maybe 5 minutes, on actually applying for a postgraduate programme in Cork University Business School. So all our applications are online through www.pac.ie/UCC. So PAC stands for the Postgraduate Application Centre. So you've decided to make an application. What will you need? So if you are an Irish student, you'll need your PPS number. If you're a UCC student, you'll need your UCC number. If you're applying from outside UCC, it's very easy. You just upload transcripts of your results and we can see them there. A credit card details. So the cost to apply is €50. That's not per program. That's for your whole application. You can actually add 3 program choices in. And an active email account you check regularly. So this is really important to put in the correct email address, because any additional documents that we're looking for, any conditional offers, any offers, hopefully no rejects, are all sent to your email address. You won't actually get anything in the post. So do check your email account regularly over the summer. So as I said, you can only make 1 application, but you can include up to 3 taught programs on your application form. So you might decide to apply for the MSc in Design and Development of Digital Business. You might also decide to apply for the MSc in Information Systems for Business Performance. And then you also might decide to apply for the MSc in Management and Marketing. It's not like the CAO, so it's not a preference-based system. You don't put your first choice at very start, second, and then third. So if you apply for all 3 programs, all 3 programs will be assessed either by the postgraduate team here in CUBS or by the program director, and you could actually receive up to 3 offers. But it's important to note that you can only accept 1 program choice. So you have to decide when you get your offers which program choice you'll actually take. So when you apply, most offers and most offers on your application, you usually get a decision within a week. So if you are a final year student, either in UCC or outside of UCC, you could get an offer, a conditional offer, based on you getting a second class honours grade 2 in your final degree result. So if you're an art student and you're in your final year, once you get your 2-2 in your undergraduate degree, your application and your offer is automatically updated to a full offer. You don't need to do anything else. The application process is actually quite simple. For the vast majority of our program in Cork University Business School, you don't actually need a personal statement. It's all based on your academic achievements and your results. So specifically now for the Design and Development of Digital Business, for that program, you're not looking for any additional information. It's just your results. So all you need to do is, if you're coming from outside UCC, upload transcripts. And if you're in UCC, you just need to provide your UCC student number. So it's not necessary to complete all program choices. If you're 100% sure you want to apply for the MSc in Design and Development of Digital Business, you just put that program down. You don't need to do all 3 of them. I also offer one-to-one online sessions. So before COVID-19, when we were in the office, these sessions were held on a one-to-one basis with students in an office, where we looked at their undergraduate degree, we looked at their strengths, we looked at their weaknesses, I looked at what their passions are, what they're interested in, and the entry requirements. And of all our 17 programs, we normally brought it down to maybe 3 programs that they wanted to apply for. So those sessions take between 30 minutes and an hour. They're free of charge, and they're either conducted over Zoom or Skype at a time that is convenient to any of our potential students. So they're still offered on a one-to-one basis on an online session. If you're not sure what area in business you actually want to go into, as a postgraduate students, we do offer that service. So that was a very brief overview of the application system. My contact details are at the very end here if you have any questions on your application, or if you want to email me to set up a one-to-one session, I'd be very happy to do that. So just to finish off the presentation here, I would like to thank our 2 presenters. I'd like to thank Dr. Andrew Pope And I'd also like to thank Dr. Carolanne Mahony for a very intriguing and invigorating presentation today. I'd also like to thank the Cubs media team for the technical support and for the promotion of the videos. And of course, I'd like to thank the participants today. If you have any further questions, you have all our email addresses, and we'd be very happy to answer any questions for you. So thank you again, and we hope to see you again shortly.